You've been lied to about boundaries and closeness. You were taught that real love means saying yes, being available, and never making anyone feel rejected. But what if that version of closeness actually came from someone who used your kindness as a tool to control you? That's the hard truth many survivors of narcissistic abuse are waking up to. Today, we'll talk about the 10 reasons why narcissistic abuse victims struggle to set boundaries, even with friends. Are you ready for number 1? They were conditioned to believe boundaries are selfish. Have you ever felt like saying no makes you a bad person? Narcissists are experts at twisting reality, convincing you that simple things like saying no or asking for space are acts of cruelty. Over time, you start to internalize this warped thinking, feeling guilty for asserting even the most reasonable boundaries. Dr. Judith Orloff, a psychiatrist and author of The Empath's Survival Guide, explains that narcissists train you to always please others. This conditioning makes it tough to draw boundaries with anyone, even friends, because you're left thinking that prioritizing your own needs means you're being selfish. But in reality, healthy boundaries are a vital part of self-care, something narcissistic abuse often robs you of. Let's talk about number 2, hyper-empathy toward others. Do you ever care so much about others that you forget you exist too? This hyper-empathy isn't just kindness, it's survival mode. You were trained to read moods, fix problems, and anticipate emotional storms before they hit. According to therapist and author Beverly Engel in her book, The Nice Girl Syndrome, victims of emotional abuse often become people pleasers to stay safe, constantly putting others first to avoid conflict or punishment. That's why saying no or setting a boundary feels wrong, even when you're being totally fair. It's not that you're weak, it's that you were taught your needs don't matter, but they do. And the hardest part is that your brain still confuses discomfort with danger. However, healing means learning that someone else's disappointment is not your emergency. Let's move on to number 3. They confuse peacekeeping with people-pleasing. Are you really keeping the peace or just keeping yourself small? Living with a narcissist can train your brain to confuse avoiding conflict with keeping the peace. So even in friendships, you might say yes when you mean no, or avoid tough conversations just to dodge potential tension. As Dr. Ramani Durvasula, clinical psychologist and author of Should I Stay or Should I Go, puts it, survivors of narcissistic abuse often confuse safety with silence. You start thinking that agreeing, appeasing, or overextending yourself is kindness. However, in reality, it's just the survival reflex you had to develop back then, still running on autopilot. The problem is, peacekeeping at the cost of your own well-being isn't peace, it's self-abandonment with a polite smile. Now, let's continue to number 4. They're afraid of being seen as difficult. If you've been with a narcissist, you've probably been called too sensitive, needy, or difficult so many times that you started believing it. So now, even with people who care about you, you tiptoe around your needs like you're afraid they'll see the flawed version of you the narcissist invented. Psychologist Dr. Lindsay Gibson, author of The Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, explains it like this. When you're used to emotional invalidation, you begin to police your own feelings to stay likable. But here's the truth. Having needs doesn't make you difficult. It makes you human. And real friends are not allergic to your truth. They want to know it. You shouldn't miss number 5. They were taught that love is conditional. When someone only gave you affection when you pleased them, and pulled it away when you didn't, it taught you that love is a reward, not a right. You learned to walk on eggshells, to please, perform, and pretend just to feel wanted. Dr. Margaret Paul, co-author of Healing Your Aloneness, calls this conditional love training, where your worth becomes tied to how well you serve others' needs instead of honoring your own. So now, even with healthy-minded friends, your nervous system might whisper to be careful about taking up too much space or they'll leave. However, real love, the kind that lasts, isn't earned by shrinking. It shows up when you stand tall in your truth. Are you still up for number 6? They attract boundary testers. If you've survived narcissistic abuse, your old programming might have trained you to be extra flexible, like emotional yoga. But here's the catch. People who push limits can sense when someone doesn't know how to say no. According to psychotherapist Terry Cole, author of Boundary Boss, disordered givers attract disordered takers. Your silence has become a magnet for people who love to test the waters. And even if your friends mean well, they might take too much if you don't set clear boundaries. The problem isn't your niceness. It's that you forgot you're allowed to take up space too. You're allowed to say, "This doesn't work for me," without a 10-minute apology. You're allowed to be kind and have limits. And the right people won't only accept your boundaries, but also appreciate them. Let's keep it moving to number 7. They were punished for having needs. Since when did having needs become a crime? That's probably a question your inner voice has whispered more times than you can count. Basic needs like space, support, or just being heard felt like demands to the narcissist. You learned that speaking up came with punishment, silent treatment, guilt trips, or emotional backlash. So, over time, your brain linked having needs with danger. But here's the truth. Setting boundaries isn't being mean. It's being mentally healthy. So, don't confuse people-pleasing with kindness. One empties you, the other fills both sides. Here comes number 8. They mistake enmeshment for intimacy. Where do you end and they begin? When you grow up around narcissistic enmeshment, the lines between you and them are so blurry. It feels normal to have your space, choices, and even your feelings constantly invaded. Over time, you start to believe that being overly involved, knowing everything, sharing everything, being everything equals closeness. Therapist and enmeshment expert Terry Cole puts it like this: Enmeshment masquerades as intimacy, but it's actually a lack of boundaries disguised as love. So now, even in healthy friendships, you might allow others to overstep because that tangled emotional mess once felt like connection. However, true intimacy isn't about losing yourself. It's about being seen as yourself, lines and all. Moving on to number 9. They were trained to prioritize others. Who takes care of you when you're always taking care of everyone else? If you were entangled with narcissists, chances are you were trained to be an emotional firefighter. You were used to rushing in to put out everyone else's emotional fires while quietly letting yourself burn. You learned early that your worth came from how well you soothed tempers, fixed moods, and kept the peace. Dr. Lindsay Gibson calls this role reversal, where the child becomes the emotional parent, and the habit sticks. So even in good friendships now, you might still feel like it's your job to protect people's feelings at the cost of your own. Finally, we're down to number 10. They see assertiveness as aggression. If you've been on the receiving end of narcissistic abuse, you were made to believe that assertiveness is a personal attack. Anytime you tried to speak up or set a limit, narcissists flipped it into drama, accusing you of being rude or mean. That kind of manipulation wires your brain to equate honesty with hostility. According to Professor Nina W. Brown, author of Children of the Self-Absorbed, narcissists distort feedback and boundaries as threats to their fragile egos. So now, even when you're just calmly saying, "No, that doesn't work for me," it feels like you're launching missiles. But here's the truth. Assertiveness isn't aggression. It's self-respect in action. You're not being mean. You're just not being a doormat anymore. If you've been nodding along, just know you're not alone or weak. Narcissistic abuse can make you feel guilty for having boundaries, especially with friends. However, real friends respect your limits and don't make you feel bad for setting them. Saying no isn't selfish. It's a sign that you're starting to value your own peace. And remember, boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. They're doors that protect who you're becoming.